Half Dozen Customs, back out here on the Jeep again. As you can see behind me sitting on the floor there, we have pulled the driver's side door off. So we are going to get to sandblasting, and we will be back to do some body work and some priming once all that is done. So we're going to sandblast the door inside and out, every bit of it. Every square inch of it we're going to sandblast inside and out. And then we are also going to get this door jamb all prepped out. And we will prime both the inside of the door and the door jamb at the same time. So probably going to do just one side at a time. We'll get them body worked out, primed inside. Not the outside, just the inside, and then we'll move over to the passenger side. But for right now, I'm gonna get started on the driver's side. I'm gonna throw it in the sandblasting hut and get to sandblasting. Not gonna record that because I don't want the camera in there with all the sandblasting going on. But I'll see you guys back here to start some body work, or maybe at least show you some progress in between. I don't know how long this is going to take me, but we're going to get to it. See you guys soon. Okay, so we're back out here on this Jeep again this morning. I worked on it all last evening, sandblasting, and I think we did pretty good. I was hoping to maybe get this whole inside finished last night. As you can see, we got that little section on the bottom of the door that left, and then the top of the door frame we have left. Alright, we're back. It's later on in the evening now, but we got this door all sandblasted up inside and out, ready to start some body work. So it looks good. I'm happy with it. All the rust was able to clean up. Even some of the heavy pitted stuff came out with no issues. No holes started. No pinholes. No nothing. There was one little pinhole that started on the corner of the door on the inside, which it's just a small one. We'll weld it up. There's a couple things that need to be welded up, like these mirror holes, which so this thing had no mirrors on it when they came here, but they had like a trucker's mirror that was welded in here, or not welded, but they had holes drilled there, and then they had two holes drilled here, which I welded up. And then this was all filled in with filler. So as we ground down and cleaned up stuff, we found that. Now I got that all sandblasted up. We're gonna grind it down. I don't think I can take that backing plate out. I'm gonna look and see. It is loose in there now. So if we can take it out, we'll take it out. If not, I'm just gonna weld it up the way it is. We'll grind them down, weld it up. So we gotta fix that guy. That's a good gusher. So we'll get him fixed. So, and then I don't know, it's the other side, like right here on the corner is where that pinhole came through. So, but we got everything all cleaned up. First thing that I'm looking at here is the mirror holes over here. So this truck had a couple different sets of mirrors on it. This, I've explained before, this was full of Bondo. So we didn't even know that was there. There was a mirror that was bolted here and here. So I was looking to see, you know, what are we gonna do there with that? And it looks to me like the only thing that's holding it in is the studs that were originally held on with the mirror. You can see somebody just cut them off and kind of hammered them in, and then they filled it with filler. I'm gonna take the rotary tool, the little rotary file guy, and we're gonna try and file down these bolts that are here and get them down low enough that we can slip it out. It's loose. I looked inside there. It's just I don't know. It's bigger than an eighth. Steel plate that's in there. It bolts on the inside of the door, which is already unbolted, and then it's got these 4 bolts here. And like I said, it looks like just those are what's holding it. So let's see if we can get this out of there, and then we'll weld it up. So let's get to it. Ta-da! Man, that was a lot of work. All right, calling it in tonight. See you guys in the next one. So, told you that was all that was holding that in there. All right, let's I guess let's get a welder and start welding up some of this stuff. So I got my little copper plate behind there, and I'll try and see if we can weld it up without working the crap out of the door. Now what I'm going to attempt to do is start on the copper pad and then work my way out till it melts into the other metal. Sometimes it works well, sometimes it doesn't. Let's see. Okay, we got it all welded up. It looks really good. I don't think that we warped anything worse than it already was. I'm sure you guys can see all these marks in here. They are marks from a hammer. Like somebody used a hammer like this and said bink, 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 and there's just hammer marks all over the place in this thing. So we welded everything up, and I think think it came out pretty good. Now it doesn't look pretty because it's actually dented in here, and there's a bunch of hammer marks in it. So, you know, I could come in here with some welds and I could weld this stuff up and get it grinded down so it's nice and pretty and bare metal, but it's still gonna have a dent there. It's still gonna need to be filled. I mean, you can see there's a big dent right, you know, right in this body line. So regardless, this needs body work. So I'm not gonna go in and try and metal finish it, go in, re-weld stuff, get it all nice. I can't get back here with a hammer and dolly. So, you know, everything feels good up until you get to right where that mirror was mounted, and then it's dented in. And, you know, whoever worked on this before dented it in so that they could fill it and get past those studs. You know what I mean? Like, so that the studs weren't poking out through their filler. But holes are gone. Moving on. We got some holes to weld up on the inside. So these are the two holes. I don't know if you guys can see those or not. Okay, so those two holes are the other two holes for the mirror. We just welded up those 4 on the outside, and those are the 2 on the inside from that brace that we just removed. So we just welded up these 4, and the 2 here are those 2 there. So we got to weld those up. Those are the pinholes I was talking about in the other one. You can see somebody's already like welded on this one. And that ain't from me. What else do we have to do? Remember I said there was a crack. So that crack right there. So we replaced this piece. You can see my weld there. But that crack has happened after the fact. So, yeah, so we gotta weld up that crack. Like, this magnet thing is awesome. Oh, when you can get to the back of it easily. That magnet is so darn strong on there. And then, with this thing flapping around, when you're trying to get it to go in up like that, it keeps flipping over. And the magnet is so strong that it just makes it a pain in the butt sometimes. And now it's super hot, so like I just wanted to reach in there and slide it back down to the other hole, but the magnet's so strong you can't. Okay, apparently you guys shut off somewhere in there when I was making noise, so I didn't hear the camera beep. I don't know what you guys missed. We welded up this corner here. We welded up the crack that was on this side. We welded up the 2 holes from the mirrors over here. And then I sanded down and wire wheeled this seam right here. We welded in a new lower structure of this door. So I got this all sanded down. I'm gonna mix up some Duraglass right now, and we're gonna pull a nice smooth with my finger to fill that in, and we're gonna call it a night after that. I'll probably hit this little corner here. Maybe we'll hit the mirrors up here, depending on how much I make. I'm just gonna make a little bit. So just making up a little bit. See what we can get coated. I'll coat as much as I can with it. Last night we left off with welding up a couple things on this door and getting some Duraglass put down over the welds. Now we're going to start sanding everything down. I'm going to put some 80 grit on a DA and just start sanding away. We'll start sanding all the Duraglass that we put down, get it all sanded out, ready for some lightweight filler. And we need to sand down the whole inside of the door as well. So we'll work on that too. So alright, well, we got all the Marglass sanded down. Gotta rework this area a little bit. There was a couple high spots that needed to be hammered out before I coated it. I coated it anyways. I had it in my hand. I coated it. So, gotta recoat a couple of spots over here on this side. I'm gonna continue on working and getting this all sanded down and cleaned up, ready to go. I'll see you guys back here when it's time to put some lightweight filler on. So stay tuned. As you can see, the door is nice and shiny. I ran over everything, every inch of it that I could with 80 grit on the DA. And then I ran over the entire thing, every inch of it, with a wire wheel. Just to get those areas that we couldn't reach with the DA, like, you know, inside the grooves, inside the little corners, whatnot. So we got everything all cleaned up. I got everything sanded down as far as the Duraglass goes. When I left you guys the last time, I had off camera, I recoated a couple of spots with some Marglass. So we got all that stuff sanded down and taken care of, and now we have the first coat of lightweight on everything. And yeah, so we're gonna let this dry now and get that sanded down. Everything's sanded down. I'm gonna coat up a couple of things here. So the reason that I coated this bottom lip here, if you remember, we put a door skin on this, so there was hammer marks going along there, so I was just trying to smooth some of those out. Okay, I think we got it all cleaned up and ready to go. All right, well, I'm gonna get this Jeep plastic off and get some primer mixed up. We'll get a coat on this like normal, and then I'll see you guys when it's all primed. So stay tuned, we'll be back. Okay, well, we got the door spun around. I got some primer in the gun. We got the Jeep plastic off. Hopefully I didn't miss nothing and everything looks good. Alright, we'll be back when it's time to blow a coat on the whole thing. I'm going to wait probably 10 minutes. I'll put another coat on those, another 10 minutes, and we'll flip the hinges, and then I'll be back with you guys to blow a coat on the door. See you guys soon. Alright, we got a couple coats on the hinges, and then I blew a coat over some of the filler spots. Now let's continue on with getting the rest of the door primed. I'll probably put a couple extra coats where the filler is, and then just a couple coats on everything else. So let's get a coat on, and then we'll see you guys back here when it's done. back and this door is primed. It looks good. I am happy with it. This does not need to be reprimed like we did on the inside of the hood. This door is ready for a scuffing and a sanding and some paint. So super happy with the turnout of it. It looks good. We left off yesterday with getting that door primed. It's all dried up, looks good. I unmasked a couple of things that we masked up. And we had left off with saying that we were going to start on the next door, and we're going to, but there's no reason that I can't start on the door jamb. I just can't get it primed. So I did talk to Colleen today. I think she said next week she's going to drive out to Chicago and pick me up some primer and some filler, and we can continue on. But I figured for now, because it's kind of cold out, it takes some time for everything to dry as we're, working around everything. So I figured we can start getting this cleaned up, and we can get some Duraglass spread in the areas that we need, and then we can jump over and start taking that door off. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to work on, some of this needs to be cleaned up. It's got some surface rust on it, so we're going to get it cleaned up, and we're going to get some Marglass on it, and then we'll jump over and we'll start pulling that door off. I don't know if we're going to get to sandblasting the door tonight. Maybe not. Like I said, it's cold out. According to the weather, it's supposed to start warming up here in a day or two. So right now it's like 10 degrees outside. I have it 50 in over here, and you can see my breath. The other side of the shop is really cold. So that's the side that we're sandblasting on. Now I can kick the heat on over there as well, but it doesn't hold the heat over there like it does over here. Anyways, enough complaining about how cold it is. Let's get to cleaning. I'm gonna wire wheel some stuff. I got the little cookie. We're gonna cookie some stuff, and maybe do a little sandblasting over here if we need to. I think we will. And then we'll go from there. So like I said before, we have this area here that somebody had welded a plate in here, so we need to work and get this cleaned up. Let's work over here before I kill my battery. I realized a few minutes ago when I was looking for this guy to come over here and wire wheel, I left my other impact tool with the battery on it inside the gas cabinet out there, and we wrapped it in Christmas lights. So I can't get in it at the moment. I gotta go out there and unwrap all the Christmas lights around it so that I can get in it and get my tool back. But I'm not gonna do that right now. We'll do that tomorrow. get the welder set up, and we'll weld this crack up. And then I think after that we got a couple of spots to sandblast, and we can start body work over here. So I'll be back once I get the welder set up. Alright, I'm gonna let the dust settle for a moment and get some Duraglass mixed up, and we'll be back. Alright, got some Marglass here that we're gonna get mixed up and start spreading her around. I'm gonna attempt to work this dent out a little bit. If we can get it all the way out, awesome. We're gonna start with some pins and do some pin pulling. Probably do some heating with the torch. But let's see what we can do with this dent real quick. I'll know pretty fast if we can't do anything with it. Okay, so got these cleaned up. I know the door's all bare metal and it's been sandblasted and it's clean. If you try and put those pins to the sandblast area, they don't stick. I've at least never had any luck with them sticking. You want a nice clean piece of metal to stick those to. So get those cleaned up and get some pins on here, and let's see what we can work with. Okay, we've gotten that out pretty well. It still needs some more work, but not too shabby so far. I don't think that's too bad. I mean, you know, I wish we could pull that little dinger out right there that's on that body line, but like I said, I can't get a pin to stick there. But man, that is so much better than what it was. Much better. I'm happy with that. I mean, there was a lot of Mondo in that spot, and now we'll just have a little bit. I mean, there'll still be some there, but not nearly as much as what was there before. So, I'm good with that. One more little dinger right here from this mirror. All right, much better. There was a high spot there. You know, they had that mirror mounted here, and you know, I don't know, maybe the mirror got hit, and it shoved it into that body line there. But I did a couple more pins right along this edge and pulled that edge up again. It looked really good, but when you step back and looked at it, you could see that there was still a slight dip in it. So I pulled that again, and it's good enough. We're done messing with that. So now we're gonna pull this other door off real quick just to get it off. I'm gonna snap some pictures of it because I didn't snap any pictures of this door before we sandblasted it. So I'm gonna snap a couple pictures of it, and then we're gonna jump back over to this door jamb, and we're going to continue on with the body work. We're going to get everything sanded down that we put on the other day, get our next coat put on, and we'll see where we're at for the day. At that point, then maybe we will jump over into the sandblasting station and start some sandblasting. So I'm going to take this off, set it over there, and we'll jump over to the door real quick. Alright. I already went through with just a hand ratchet and cracked all these loose. When I took the other side off, there was like 2 screws that I couldn't get to come out with this guy. So I had to crack those by hand. So I just figured I'd go through and crack these first. They didn't seem very tight on this side. The other side, like I said, there was 2 that were pretty tight. Got that screw that was in there, it was stuck in the hinge. I thought it dropped down inside there. Okay, so we got this guy off. So here's those couple of dings that I was telling you guys about. I don't know if you guys can see those. Let's see, turn on the screen. So there you go, now you can see them. So there's those couple of dings. Now, you know, we made this piece and put this piece in. You know, just like the other side, we did the same thing on both sides. But my arm was, my hand, my arm, my wrist, everything was getting tired when I was putting that on. I think it's in video, so it'd be in a past video, long time ago. But I boo-booed that. So we gotta take care of that. That's something a little extra on this side that we need to take care of. But other than that, it's pretty much the same story as the other door. We'll find out if it's a little cleaner on this door than on the other door. I can tell you right now, like, the damage around the hinge area was way worse on the driver's side door. Like I've said before, for some odd reason, all 3 Jeeps that we have here, it must be a common problem with these Jeeps, but the catch that keeps the door open either isn't very strong and they always break, or you, even with that thing on there, you can still overextend the door. But all these doors have been overextended. And this one, being the passenger doors, in 100 times better shape than the driver's side door. So, you know, I can already see that there's less going on here than on the other one. Okay, we're back over here on this floor jam. I'm gonna use the mud hog to knock it down real fast. Then we'll come back with the DA. I've said this in other videos. I do not recommend whatsoever straightening body work or filler work with the DA. Only reason that I'm doing it is because this is the first coat and we're just kind of roughing it in. When I come back with the lightweight filler over the top of this Duraglass, that will get sanded by hand. So what I was doing there was cleaning out the factory spot weld. You know, if you look at this one, like the spot weld's right at the bottom of our Marglass there, and it was the same way on the bottom, and I was just cleaning the Marglass out of the spot weld. So you guys see me probably do this often, where I use this little screwdriver to chip out or chisel out any filler that might be like in a seam that's you know, that we don't want any filler in. So this is just, you know, your old 1980s, 1990s Craftsman screwdriver, but I have sharpened the edges on it. This thing has been, you know, sanded and smoothed out and sharpened so that when I'm dragging it through these cracks, it's cutting it. So it's not just your typical screwdriver, it's been modified. So, and I'm just letting you guys know that, so that, you know, it works really well when you sharpen it like that. So, you know, maybe it's a little tip that'll help you guys out when you're trying to clean out cracks and crevices of filler. It kind of helps to kind of cut through that filler and get everything cleaned out and give you a nice clean straight line in there. There's a little weld there. I know that weld was from me when I had this braced up to do the rocker. So I think that this is ready for some lightweight filler. We're just checking back in. I got this stuff coated. You can see it already just looks so much better. You know, from the Marglass stage to the lightweight filler stage. We left off last night with a little body work in that door jamb, and I told you guys that we were going to start off with some sandblasting. So got the door in here last night. Everything's all cleaned up in here. I'm ready to start sandblasting. So that's going to be my day today. Maybe I'll check in with you guys when we're partway through or whatnot, and we're going to sand down some of this filler. Alright, well, we got this sanded down. We got this lower pocket sanded down. We still got this upper pocket to do. I'm gonna work on that right now. This little edge right here, if you guys are looking at it, let me make sure. So this little edge right here, they had this plate that came in here. It's welded on an angle, but part of this lower section was weld. And then, you know, we replaced part of this inner structure here. And this structure that's behind here was pretty beat up. So we got one coat on there, and it's looking a lot better. But it is not ready for primer yet, so we're gonna have to tape this off again and put another coat on here and work it again. So but as far as this side goes, so far what we've got going on, this area here is ready for primer. So now hopefully this top one comes out, you know, just as well as the bottom one did, but you know, we won't know until we get it sanded down. So back out here after the sandblasting. Well, we're still out here after the sandblasting. That was a mess. Man, it clouded out in here. It took longer than I thought. It was worse than I thought. But got it aired out in here, blew everything out, vacuumed everything up. Got it all nice and clean again. And now we're gonna start DAing some stuff. I think other than just running around it with the scuff head, this bad boy's ready for primer. I've said it in other videos, you know, I'll say it again. I never had any plans of even taking these door jambs as far as I did. When we originally had discussed doing this truck, I told them that I would paint the door jambs, but other than like stripping and restoring everything, like that wasn't part of the original plan. So I think I've gone above and beyond with getting these door jambs to look nicer than they did. You know, we just sandblasted inside the door jambs, which, you know, is not what I was looking to do, but it needed to be done, so we did it. You know, we've done body work in the door jambs to make them look right. You know, this truck has gone above and beyond what it was ever supposed to be. So I think where we got the door jambs, they're not stripped down to bare metal, but I think they are going to look 10 times better than they ever did before. And we got a fresh start on them. Even though they're not down to bare metal, there's a fresh start on them. So, you know, anything that needed to come off came off. You can see I stripped this little pocket here where the door striker goes, and that's because when we pulled the door striker off, there was rust behind it. So we got it all cleaned up. You know, it looks good. We body worked out what we needed to. Now we'll jump over to the passenger side from here, and we will start on the passenger side. The lower section, like we did here, needs to be done on that side as well. The hinge pockets, like we did over here, and our little door catch mechanism thing needs to be done over there. I was just over there looking at the top up here, no rust. So no sandblasting needed over there. We may just wire wheel it. It looks like they may have, like from the factory, maybe put some goop along that top rail when they put the roof on, so that it was sealed between there. That's the only thing that I see that could probably be cleaned up. I think we will seam seal across the top here on both sides. So the other side should go, I think a little better than this side. I think this side was in worse shape. And then once we get that side done, like I said, hopefully we can get on that door this weekend and get that done, and get, you know, hopefully, like I said, get the inside of the door primed and get these primed, hopefully all at the same time. We got to take this seat out. If you remember back in previous videos, we did some rust repair on the floor right here in this corner on both sides. So I'm going to get that cleaned up and sanded down. And when we prime these door jambs, we're going to prime that little pocket area as well. And then, yeah, there is some stuff that we still got to do on the inside. Now the inside of the truck, like, I'm going to DA it out, we're going to scuff it up. I do need to, I know I'm jumping ahead here, but this is something that we got to get done here soon. Up here on the roof, I don't know how well you guys can see that, but it looks like somebody has sprayed maybe some of that like rattle can bed liner in there. It's what it looks like. It doesn't look like undercoating, it actually looks like the rattle can bed liner. And they didn't prep the roof, and it's just falling off. So we're gonna go in there with the wire wheel and try and get as much of that out of there as we can. This back window here, we need to do some sandblasting around this window and get that cleaned up. I think in here we're pretty good, just DA it down. There is some rust along this bottom lip. We need to, and I guess some up along the top too. So we need to get that sandblasted. And I think that's like the last of the sandblasting that needs to be done as far as the cab goes. I think we're getting really close to being done with sandblasting altogether. Yeah, so you know, we may jump around here and maybe get the inside, you know, prepped out and ready to go, like once the door jambs are done. Because once we get this body work done on the outside and we get the outside in primer, I'm jamming it, painting the dashboard, and once it's jammed and the dashboard's painted, we'll tape all that off, and we're gonna spray in bed liner. I have like, I don't know, I call them hopper guns. They come with the spray in bed liner kits, and it really goops it on. Still unsure if we're gonna do the Rust-Oleum stuff. I'm gonna do a spray out. We'll see if it sprays how I want it to, and if I like the way that it looks when it's done, or if we're gonna order the actual I can't think of the name of it at the moment. Anyways, I can't think of the name of it at the moment, but there's a really good bed liner company that we have the kit here to do the inside of the bed and the inside of the wheel wells, but it's clear and you put the blue in and it comes out color matching, I'm just going to do black on the inside, so we may order that, but once it gets jammed we're going to do that, and then we can put like the gas pedal and brake pedal and put the dashboard together and all that stuff, so when he takes it back while I do the bed, he can put the motor in it and get it all running and everything. So yeah, so moving forward, passenger side door jamb. I know I kind of rambled on there and kind of went off topic a little bit, but I'm just kind of thinking in my head, you know, what we still need to do and what needs to get done. So we haven't crossed too much off of the list lately. Once I get that door done, we can mark sandblast doors off. Yeah, so I don't even think like door jambs were on the list, but I can write them down so we can cross it off. Okay. We got that on there. We'll let that dry. And we'll be back to sand and clean that up. We finally got this all sandblasted up. I was able to, I know I had said in the past couple of recordings that sandblaster was freezing up or something, and I wasn't able to get it to work. I was cleaning the sandblaster out thinking that it was clogged, and I would get a couple minutes of sandblasting and then it would stop sandblasting. Today it was 55 degrees outside. I kicked the heat on in here. I had it up to 70 and it was still doing it. So obviously it was not freezing. So I took everything apart and was going through and cleaning everything. And there was a small part about this big that was inside of the gun that it looks like the sand had ate it away and blew a secondary hole in it. I don't know how it did it. My sandblast cabinet has the same gun. So I was able to take that one apart and use that piece and the gun for the pop blaster, and we were able to get it finished. Now, my blaster gets used, or my blast cabinet gets used a lot. And when I took that one apart, there wasn't even a wear mark in it. So I don't know if the one in the pop blaster was like not put together properly. It was allowing sand to kind of backwash into it, and was able to sandblast it down to the point to where it like wore part of the edge away. I would show you, but I already put everything back together. But anyways, they're the same gun. They both probably been used equally amount. One had a bad part in it, one didn't. So at the moment I'm having to switch parts between the two. I'm gonna have to go up to Harbor Freight and get another one. But once I switch out that part, we had the sandblaster back. It worked awesome. I was able to get it done. So now we're gonna continue on like we did the other one. One thing that I noticed while I was sandblasting this, there's supposed to be 2 drain holes down here on each side for water, like when it rains and water runs down the window, the door window, and it goes down into the door. It needs to be able to drain from the bottom of the door. I did them on the driver's door, but somehow I forgot to put them into the passenger door. Not a big deal. We just gotta drill a couple holes. So I got those marked out where they need to be. I measured the other door, make sure that we got them in the same spot. And then we're gonna drill those holes. And then we're gonna go on with, we got DA all this out with 80 grit. We gotta wire wheel it. Grind what needs to be grinded. I did notice sandblasting that, again, somehow, some way, I don't know. There's a spot that wasn't grinded at all, like I welded it but never ground it down. And then right next to that, like the same line that I had welded and not grinded, like there's a spot like this big that's not welded. So we got to grind that down and we got to weld the rest of it. See here. So this was a cut in the door so that I could pull the top of the door in so that the gap was nice at the top of the door, because both doors like stuck out at the top enough where like you could almost put your fingers in there. So we made a cut here and we made a cut there. That's in previous videos, so if you want to see that, you can go back if you haven't seen it yet. And somehow I didn't finish that side. I don't know. There's a couple things on this door that I came across that were not finished, like the holes being drilled, welds not being ground down, cuts not even welded. So we're gonna go through, we're gonna take care of all that stuff, and we'll start body work on it. I don't know how far we're gonna get tonight. I was out here better part of the afternoon getting this sandblasted. A couple hours of it was just trying to get the darn sandblaster to work. But now we're back out here, got the door out here. I blew all the sand out, well, most of it. You know, we'll keep blowing at it, but anyways, let's start with drilling some holes here. You know, we got everything wire wheeled, and I was gonna go back with some 80 grit and just run around it one more time, which I did. So now I'm mixing up some Durglass. We're gonna coat all the welded areas, minus the spot that we still gotta weld up over there. We'll have to go back and hit that guy again. Not a big deal, but we left off in the last video with putting some Marglass down in the needed areas, and now I'm going to work on sanding it. Just like the other door, 80 grit on a DA for the Marglass. Once that's sanded down, we'll put lightweight filler on, which that then gets sanded down by hand. So let's get to it. So we had left off with like DA down the door, and I told you that I was going to get it ready for primer and we'd be back and whatnot, which I'm still in the middle of that. I've put some lightweight filler. There's a couple areas where I have done more Marglass. I did this Marglass down here because I still had some left and I didn't want to waste it. But there was a couple spots where there was some welding going on that we didn't hit earlier, so I just missed them. So I put some Marglass in a couple areas, and then the other areas that were ready for some lightweight, I put the lightweight on. But I have forgotten. I forgot about it the other day. I forgot about it this past week. And I was just standing here after I coated that stuff, and it popped in my head. Remember, I have said in the past, you know, after we got this primed, there's a line that runs down that like meets up with the door jamb areas here, or at least attempted to kind of line up with the door jamb areas here. And that side came out fine, but this side, somehow, some way, we ended up with a wobble in that line. There's two wobbles. There's one here, and there's another one here. So I had talked about that we need to body work this out, and it's a good possibility. So what I'm going to start with here is I'm going to put some guide coat on. For those of you who don't know what guide coat is, this is guide coat. You can order this on Amazon. You can get it from your paint company. This is from my paint company. I believe it's from my paint company. It's just a powder, a black powder, and then a sponge pad, and you just kind of smear it on. You know, some people use spray paint, like black spray paint. If you're going to use black spray paint, I suggest using a flat paint, not a gloss. The flat sands better. The gloss gums up your sandpaper. I use this foam pad stuff. This stuff works really good. If some of it gets left behind, it doesn't affect, you know, your products. Where, you know, if you're using a Rust-Oleum rattle can, you know, that stuff don't agree with automotive products, so, you know, you can't leave it behind. This stuff, if you leave it behind, it's not gonna hurt nothing. Not that I would purposely leave it behind, but so this, you know, it gives you a black base, and then as you start to sand through it, you can see that, you know, it starts to turn light gray as you sand it, and it gives you, you know, it kind of gives you a map of what's going on. So I figure I got some 180 on this, and we're gonna sand and sand, and we are going to attempt to see if this is possible to be straightened out with the product that is on here, and possibly maybe just get away with just repriming it, or are we gonna have to go to body work? So like I said, I'm gonna sand it and see what we can do. Soon here you'll see where our wobbles are at. So here, looking at this, you can see that we do not have a straight line. You know, this needs to be sanded a little bit more, but you can kind of see it straight through here. And then we wobble way up, and then we kind of come down for a second, and then we wobble up again, and then it straightens out here. And you can see here, we're already breaking through metal in a couple of spots. So there's, you know, once you start hitting metal, you can't go too much farther with what's going on. So the chances of us getting this wobble out of here aren't looking too promising, and we just started. Okay, so this obviously is not going to straighten out just with the product that we have here. So what I'm going to do now is what I had talked about originally and planned originally. I'm gonna rough this up with some 80 grit, and then we're gonna run a tape line across, and we're gonna coat here with some lightweight filler. We'll peel our tape, and then we'll sand that out, and then we'll come back from the other side on the inside of it, and we'll run our tape line along the previous tape line, and then we'll coat this side, and hopefully the two tape lines will meet up and give us a nice peek through here. I'm trying not to put a bunch of dents in this. I'm using my large square flat. It's flat. There's no curve to it. And it may sound like I'm hitting it hard, but I'm not really. It's just, it's a tinny floor, so it sounds loud. But I'm trying not to put any dents in it because you can see it from underneath. Now we're going to be undercoating underneath, but I don't want I don't want this thing all beat up. So I'm trying very carefully to keep the hammer flat with each hit. I'm trying to hit at the same impact, as I'm going along. Not trying to hit harder in one area than I am in the next. So now, luckily, where this hump is that we have been trying to hammer out is not near these body lines. If we were getting into these body lines, which we're going to be getting, I'm running a tape line all the way across, and we're going to be coating all the way across. And it's going to be a little tricky to go around these lines. I don't want to get a bunch of filler in them. But it is so much better than it was. So we got a little bit of a low area here, and we got a low area here, and then this was a little on the high spot. Okay, so we got everything taped off. I taped off these little bead rolls in here just so that we don't fill them up with filler here. So when I'm doing this, I'm pushing harder on the inside of the truck than I am towards our tape, trying to get it to build up along that tape line. I don't care if it's thick, we're gonna sand it down anyways, but I needed to leave a good line when we pull this tape. I think we're gonna call that there. Pull our tape. That worked out well to keep our tape out of, or our filler out of the body lines there. Let's hope we left a good line to follow here. Okay, so now I was thinking about it. What I think that we're gonna do here, before we sand this, we're gonna let this cure, and we're gonna run our tape on the inside on the filler that we just put on, and then we're gonna coat this outside, giving us a nice peak there, and then we'll go ahead and we'll sand that down. Okay, we're back. Mix up a little lightweight filler, and we're gonna coat this lower section of the tape line. All right, we'll see how this goes. Now, I can tell right now, which was good. I put this on a little thick because I wanted a bit of a build up here. But what might be a smart idea to do here is tomorrow will come out. This isn't even quite dry yet. I mean, it's dry, but it's still leaving like nail marks, and so tomorrow we'll come back out and we'll recoat this top section. I'll come in with a little bit of 80 grit. We'll kind of just scuff this up. We'll tape off our little body lines here again, and we'll recoat up to this coat. We won't need tape. We'll just recoat up to that. Maybe we'll put tape on it. But then I think that we'll be more than good at that point. Okay, so as you can see, we're back out here. I just did a little air filing here, trying to get this straightened out and looking better. I really thought that I had more filler on here than I did. That came off really fast. That was just some 80 grit on here, and it disappeared pretty quick. But from what I can see, it's looking a little better. Right here we got, we got something going on right here. But this may take one more coat after we get this. You can see that we're hitting through to some bare metal spots. This spot right here is a bump. I can feel it bumped up. So we may have to hammer that a little bit. And just put another like skim coat over the whole thing now that we got a nice clean straight line. But I'm gonna keep sanding and get the rest of this cleaned up, and we'll see where we're at. I think we're pretty good here. It's looking much better. I'm going to mix up a little bit. I think we're gonna coat this area right here. Feels like I just took too much off. We got down. You can see that it's our new filler, primer, and filler. So we went down to the original and actually took some of the original off there, and then I'm gonna coat right here because we tapped that down now. Okay, well, we got the couple spots coated that I felt needed to be coated, and I think we left off yesterday with I had a little bit more work to do on that rocker. I had a little bit more work to do on this door to get them ready for primer, and we got that stuff ready. So, got the door all ready. Everything's in 180 grit. So that's all ready. Of course we got this side ready last week, or maybe it was a week before. I think last week we did all sandblasting stuff. And we got this side all ready. I think it looks much better. Now we're ready to, we got to run 80 grit around this top section of the door. And then we got to start scuffing everything. So that's where we're at. I got scuff pad on the door there. I was grabbing that to get it out and get it ready. So let's grab the DA real quick with some 80 grit on there and DA out this door jamb. All right, I think we got ready to scuff. Alright, well, we got the seat out and we got this side cleaned up. So, you know, we're just gonna blow like one little coat or two, well, whatever we get on it, we get on it. Just so long as it's covered in primer. Like I said, that's all get bedlined, so I'm not gonna do any body work in there or anything like that. It's just blow some primer on it, and then we'll scuff it up or whatnot when we do the bed liner. So I don't know where we left off last night. I think we had gotten that corner kind of cleaned up over there, and then it was time to go watch a movie. Good movie, by the way. But I cleaned up this side. I removed the seat belts. I've DA'd all the way around the door jamb just for overspray purposes. Now, chances are the overspray that goes on there, I'll end up cleaning it back to the edges. But, you know, just in case, you know, we don't sand it down fully, whatever, like, I wanted to make sure that there was no hot spots or surface rust around these edges, just so, you know, if we do get primer over it and the primer ends up staying, like even if I sand it down but it stays in, you know, a welded area, or it stays in this little crease, or, you know, it stays in some hammer marks or whatnot, that there wasn't rust in there, and we primed over it and then forgot about it, like out of sight, out of mind type thing. So I was just making sure everything was clean. I vacuumed it out, I blew it out. Now we're ready to start taping everything off. So we got everything taped off, just to do the door jambs and the floor that I fixed on this side. So, and we got this door ready to go. Got the little latch taped off and the lock. So I'm getting ready to mix up some primer real quick and start priming. So I'll see you guys back here when that's done. Alright, well, we got everything primed up. It looks good. Super happy with everything. That little extra work always goes a long way. Just making sure everything's sanded down and cleaned and sandblasted. And so this line down here looks a lot better. This little edge right here, I put a couple extra coats of primer right there. It was like I didn't sand it down enough. There was still a little bit of an edge there. You know how we were taping, you know, taping one side or the other. Like you could see it just a little bit. But it's not bad. Like I said, I put a couple extra coats of primer on it. This rocker I ended up priming. I want to get these rockers primed here when we do the firewall. which should be this week. We're gonna get the firewall done, and we're gonna have the front end off. So I need to prime up underneath all of this. So we'll do that when the fender's off. So if there's anything that, like, after it sits a day or two and stuff starts to shrink, if I see that little line up there, we'll just sand down this rocker again, and we'll just reprime that spot, or sand down that spot and reprime that spot when we prime the bottom of the rocker. So but yeah, I'm happy that we got it primed today. It's a beautiful night outside. I don't know what the temperature is, but it's 65 in here. So, you know, much better than trying to prime it when it was 20 degrees out a couple days ago. So yeah. One more thing. I keep forgetting to do this while you guys are on camera. But we got the doors sandblasted. We did all the metal work on the doors. I don't have priming the inside of the doors, so and I don't have door jambs on there. So I think that's it. 2 more things crossed off the list. Technically there's three things that should have been marked off the list. Priming the jambs should have been on there, but it wasn't on there, but it's done. So technically 3 things off the list are done. Firewall's coming next. See you guys soon. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. We're getting closer. Like, subscribe, share, leave a comment. I'm out.